The illustration that I use, and it's not mine, Dr. Pettingill used it. I don't know where he got it, but it's a good one. Here is a good housewife. She gets a nice roast of a morning, and she puts it in the oven. And she leaves it there to cook at 350 degrees, and she gets busy, and the telephone rings, and when she goes to answer it, she pulls up a chair. You know, that's the definition of a woman when the telephone rings. She always pulls up a chair. My wife, I've noticed that when the telephone rings, she goes to answer it. She sits in a chair. I tell you, she's ready for it, you know. It may be a long one. And so she sits down. This woman is talking to Ms. Jones, and Ms. Jones has a bit of gossip, you know. She's heard something, and so she's passing it on, and all of a sudden, this good housewife says, I smell my roast burning. I'm sorry. I'll have to go. She hangs up the phone. She rushes in, opens the oven, and the smoke is coming out. And so she goes, gets a fork, and she puts a fork down in that, and it just comes right up through it. Won't lift it out at all. She puts it in another place over by where the bone is and tries to lift it out. Won't come out. She's a good housewife. She goes and gets a spatula and she puts it under the meat now and she lifts out the roast. What the fork could not do because it was weak through the flesh. Nothing wrong with the fork. That's a good fork. But it's weak through the flesh. The spatula is now able to do. So that what you and I cannot do as believers, we think we can, we can't do it. Only the Holy Spirit. And that's such a comforting thing to know. I've reached the place now that in my life where old age is set in and I'm not as active with my radio programming. The devil got into it. And I had a lot of trouble getting the devil out, you know. I didn't have the physical strength. But the Lord, in a marvelous way, moved in and moved this individual out. And I want to say to you that what the flesh can't do, the Holy Spirit can do. And so I couldn't do it myself. And I just had to turn this whole thing over to the Lord. And I did, and He handled it. I didn't handle it. He took care of it. And that is the most wonderful thing about it, friends. And that is the answer to your question here, is the fact that the Holy Spirit is the one to give you strength, that there's no power in the new nature. I hope you learn that lesson. That means a close walk with God. That means to walk in the Spirit, walk in the power of the Spirit. Again and again, we're told to walk in the Spirit, walk in the Spirit. Why? Because that's the only way we're going to live the Christian life down here. We can't do it ourselves. And I'm sure glad the Lord made it like that, because I found out I couldn't do it. But I've also found out He can do it. And this is very important. You've asked a tremendous question. In fact, you've asked a good question, very pertinent for this hour in which we live.